So without further ado, we'll go to Pet Clinic. So this is should be familiar. Spring microservice. You can click on owners, and so on and so forth. Now we'll start recording it. So to do this, we've added some extra HTTP endpoints to start recording and to save recording on both the API gateway microservice and the customer service microservice. So if we go to here, we can run this curl and we can start recording. Right, recording started. So we're going back here. So let's click on Franklin. That's fine. Peter is the one that we've injected the bug into, so that is going to not return anything, and we'll see why in a minute. And then we'll click on Carlos finally. That's fine. Now we're going to save that recording. This is saving recordings, and just to give you an idea of the size. There they are. Now we're going to start replay session. So first the API gateway using the recording that we've just saved, and then the customer service likewise, and go back to IntelliJ. We have got breakpoints set in the API gateway, so we'll click on debug, and that will connect. And it just connects over normal, from IntelliJ's point of view, it's a normal JWP JVM remote debug session. IntelliJ doesn't know that it's talking to our recording agent. So we've hit that breakpoint. We'll go to customer service. There's no breakpoint set on this, so it will just run through to the end of the recording. We'll let that run through. And you can see it's reached the end of the recording. So, going back to the API gateway, we're currently here. We've got buttons to do we've got normal forward operations, and we've also got reverse versions of those. We've got reverse continue, we've got reverse step out, so we can, for instance, step over like that, and we can also do reverse step over and go backwards. So we'll step over, and now what we're going to do is step across from one microservice to the other. So we've got the step across button here, and the way this works, so I'll click on that. And the way this works is it's searching in the other recording. It uses telemetry, basically. It uses like the span ID and the HTTP headers and the timestamp to go and locate the appropriate method call on the other side. So it's searching through, and it's jumping to that method. And occasionally it jumps to the wrong thread, but that's okay. So so there we are. We are on the other side, and we can see that the owner ID is 1. We can step over. And we can just double check that the owner is what we expected it to be, which is George. Okay, another thing we can do is we can use that span ID. So if we go to Zipkin, which is showing the span IDs, which is showing the calls, and we sort it by start time. You can see our calls to do the save recording here. if we go to the middle one, which was the one that didn't work, which is owner 5, which is the one that failed, and we click on customer service, we can copy the span ID here, and then we have a log jump panel here. You can enter a timestamp in there if you've got a timestamp from a log file, but we're going to enter the trace ID and go to that. So this is, so it basically goes back to the start of the recording. It's a little bit slower than Step Across because there's no timestamp to aid it. So it's searching through the recording for that trace ID on the customer services side, and once it's located it, it'll jump to it, and then we'll be able to confirm, and it should show us ID number 5. And yes, there's ID number 5. So we've used the trace ID to jump to that location. So again, we can, and now we can, I mentioned that there was a bug in this. So let's see if we can figure out what's going on. So let's go. The bug is if the name is equal to Peter, then it throws that exception, and so that's the bug. If we go, another thing we can do, so we can run backwards to there. We can also, there's also a step back across button, which does the reverse of step across. So this is going to go back to the call in the API gateway. So I click on that, and it's doing a similar thing and going backwards to the API gateway call with owner ID 5. So what we should see on the other side is, and there's our call, one step down in the stack, but there is our call to our owner ID 5.